Yo, what's going on? It's Cody from Big Beaver Comics up here in Canada. I'm repping for my boy Anthony, who's not here right now. He's at home working on this website. We've been putting this comic store together for a minute now. So we posted a little video on IG earlier, and we're not going to keep that video up too long because we like to keep our IG pretty streamlined to the stuff that we're working on, the top tens, the top fives, the countdowns, the we like to give people some value, something to stop by our Instagram for, as opposed to just slanging stuff. Like I could be pitching stuff to you constantly. You want to buy some stuff, bro? I could have like what are those, like big overcoats, right? To sell you some watches or something. I'm just not that guy. Like the books, if you're looking for books, if the prices are good. I'm worried about making sure my grading is spot on and making sure that I'm, pricing everything accordingly, taking care of stuff, having it up on the website, all that good stuff, procuring new collections. So my job, this is me slanging books to you right now. This is my hard sell. Please, please. I'm in a soup kitchen. I'm the brokest. Send me all your money. How was that? How was that for a plea? Did that seem like something that was going to coerce you to give me your last dollar? Probably not. Anyways, what are we looking at? Why are we walking around this room just looking? This is the stuff that's kind of up on the website, or Ant's working on it. Moon Knight there. This isn't just Infinity Crusade. This is all the Gauntlet and Infinity War and all that good stuff. I mean, you can see the size of the piles up on some of these shelves. That's the full miniseries of Return of the Jedi, I think, potentially 3 times over, all near mint. I mean, there's just a ridiculous amount of stuff. We've got First Doomsday, right? Newsstand, regular, and a second printing. Just just so much fun stuff. Like there's just, right? You got a like early appearance of Moon Knight. So I mean, this stuff is all in order here. I mean, this is the stuff that's just being dealt with, and I figured, well, what the heck? We might as well just take a look. So we've got, I mean, that's the whole Ronin series. That's all near mint. You got 3/4 of 2099 X-Men and the Micronauts all mint. Both Magic miniseries plus a double of the 83 or 84 miniseries. So the 91 and the mid 80s one, but the mid 80s one doubled twice. 2 of every. Contest of Champions, Origins, right? All these. I just don't have I think the Gambit one is the only one that's not in there. I mean, this ASM is what? I don't even know. Do you see a number there? Whatever that number is, that's just between those two. So that's right. There's 20 books in this pile. That's all it is. And then there's the next pile because, man, my ASM runs deep here. Like it's multiple long boxes of just Amazing Spider-Man. I mean, we got 2 huge stacks here of Peter Parker Spectacular Spider, and all like phenomenal condition. A lot of this stuff is just bonkers. What is this? Oh, this is the X-Men 1/2, right? This was a Wizard giveaway exclusive, wasn't it? But this is the Jim Lee X-Men series that we all know and love. That one. This is just considered 1/2, so I guess it goes on top, even though it's from many years down the road, but it is the same series. Yeah, everything is pretty packed up. I guess I could show you. I think we have 61 books in here. So these are our presumptive CGC submissions. These are all 9.8, 9.6. They're not. We don't have anything in here that's outside of the realm of the high 9s. There's no early Silver Age stuff or minor Teen Titans key. That's Supergirl #1 is just in beautiful shape. That's right, 3 of those. First Nightwing, Origin of Deathstroke, End Again. And like I said, like, stuff's in good shape. We try to we take our condition very, very important around here. We think that's an integral part of comic collecting. We know the collectors feel that way. So we actually, you know what? I'll show you just how neurotic we are about some of this stuff in a moment. So Negan Lives, Silver, Legends of the Dark Knights, Death Metal. There's another one. Incentive from first Death Metal. Incentive. No, that's the incentive from the first one, right? Incentive from the second one. Incentive from the third. Robin King cover, Robin King. Batman Who Laughs 1, 2. Batman 96. First appearance of Clown Hunter with Clown Hunter on the cover incentive. Batman Adventures Continue. First appearance of Deathstroke in the Batman Adventures universe. Wolverine in the original costume. Thing number 1. First Miles. This is nice. All right, IG Comics Store. 1 of 700 copies. It's in really nice shape. I really wish they would slab the COAs, but that's not about to happen. This is just a pimp cover. Like, we got 61 in here, so that's 2 waybills, and then 11. So all of these are going to be out of these bags as they've been pre-screened and put in this box, but they have not been gone through with a fine-tooth comb. Now, I know most of them in the condition that they are, but still, you know, if you don't go through every book, every page, and just look over it, get your jeweler's loop, I mean, you got to do your work, right? And send things to get pressed, to get cleaned. Try to make it very easy on the CGC people to know that they're dealing with quality stuff. I mean, the best thing you can do is you can set yourself up in advance for success. There's not going to be a whole lot of winning on the back end, and there's not going to be a whole lot of winning if you're just if you're winging it. But if you do everything you can beforehand, you'd be surprised. You're not going to turn 9 2s or 9 4s with color breaking spine ticks into 9 8s. I mean, that obviously is not going to happen, but that's not realistic. That's not what we're talking about. But is the difference between a 9 6 or 9 4 with some wavy paper and, you know, a couple of what ostensibly look like not creases, but under light look like, you know, waves. Would a press be the thing that jumps that? Absolutely it would. You know, and being diligent about the way you take care of your books and being diligent about the way you store books and never pick up a book on the spine side. Like, just absolutely don't ever squeeze your left hand on books, period, is pretty much my rule of thumb. So, I mean, there's just a lot of different things that could show up as issues in all these books. So we will take these out and flip through every page and even page count the new stuff and all that kind of stuff. But I'm saying that this isn't our first rodeo, so we're going to assume that if I picked 61 9/8, I probably have at least a good 40. And let's hope we can whittle that down and knock out 10 given ones that won't be 9/8 and expect the balance to be 9 6s. And that sometimes is just what happens. And if you get more than a 4-to-1 split to 9/8, I think you're happy with a win. And if you end up worse than that, I think maybe you need to check your grading skills again. You might need to get your eyes checked, or maybe your ego. It could be your ego that needs the checking. I've seen that be a real downfall for a lot of people. So Uh, Either one of those, but do your due diligence, be smart, right? Be a grown up. Don't treat this like if you treat it like it's a bullshit hobby, like if you just treat it like, yeah, this is just some bullshit, I don't give a shit about any of this fucking stuff, then yeah, that's what you're gonna get in return. You're gonna get a lot of bullshit. Like I talked to a guy yesterday, and I'm shout out if you're listening. I'm gonna just tell the story the way it is, but homie's got some books that he's sitting on, and he was thinking about moving them, and he sent me a list of all his stuff, and he assumes everything's in near mint condition. Now, what near mint means to me when I see near mint is that it's a 9 or a 9.2. I don't ever think somebody who says things are near mint means that they think it's a 9.8. But I would imagine a lot of people who are more novice at it or think that the grading is a lot more lenient and don't realize the type of damage that some paper can take. So they think they've got, everybody's got gold in their collection. So he got a hold of me, has these books. It was like 92 books. And he priced out how much he paid for all the books, right? A lot of these books were variants he had to bring in with shipping costs. And because we're in Canada, there was customs and there was all this kind of stuff. And he had to try to justify all that stuff to me, which I totally understand, but there's nothing I can do about it for you. So like he said to me like, "Oh, well these 92 books there and they were great, a bunch of runs of good stuff, but there were no first appearances and none of the variant covers were things that people were, falling over themselves to get a hold of or any of that kind of stuff, which is fine. Because I'm more than willing to pick up stock." So he gave me a price, he shot me a price, and I sent him back, I'd say a fifth of all those books on the going rates of things and showed him that, it was really unfortunate that you picked a lot of these up for what sounds like a retail price, but he was under the impression that because he was buying popular characters, Punisher, Deadpool, and buying mini series, I guess maybe he thought there was maybe a little more collectability in that, that there was some value growth or definitely value retention. And I mean, it turns out that a good majority of the books, like I explained to him, if I'm even going to sell them again for what they were at retail initially, which is about the most that they're still valued at, it's impossible for me to pick books up at 6, 8, $10 a book. That's ridiculous. So I have to buy books where there's wiggle room to make margin. So after he took a look at the prices, we had this conversation. He was like, "Well, geez, like I appreciate your help and all this, but like I was buying these under the impression that, in a few years they would be worth something." And I mean, it's the hard lesson that a lot of people that just jump into comics blind find out that like this stuff here, unless you've never been here before, that stuff there, see that, 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 this, that, sell it. I'm telling you, you strike when the iron's hot. Don't allow speculators to gas you up and believe that this is still going to be hot 5 years from now. What's going to be hot 5 years from now is the stuff that's coming out 5 years from now that everyone's saying is going to be hot 5 years from then. So if you're sitting on stuff that's going to come back 9/8 and people are going to pay you heavy premiums for it, you take it off the table. Because we all know that where the real money is in first appearances. I mean, unless you're dealing with stuff that's, 30, 40 years old, I mean, then you can get into some stuff, low print runs at the end of series or, all sorts of newsstand and price variance. There's all sorts of variables that can be involved. But when it comes to newer books, if you weren't lucky enough to grab the first appearance in Null and in the printing that everybody wants, it doesn't matter how many common Deadpool books you got. And it was a hard, because he was like, "Man, I guess I'm just going to hold on to these. I appreciate your help. I appreciate you leading me in the right direction." But there was nothing he could do. His hands were tied. He probably had his heart into that collection more than I was going to be able to get money out of it. And that's unfortunate because it's collections like those that have no key issues in them. And they just, whittle away somewhere because someone's always waiting for that next day when all of a sudden the market might change and everyone might start valuing, I don't know, random appearances as if they're first appearances. But that just won't happen. So, I mean, you end up turning down a lot more collections than you end up buying. That's a fact. And it's because of things like that that people have their money and their heart wrapped up in stuff. I mean, you can't blame them. They want to win, right? And I understand that mindset, but Dazzler. I love this Dazzler cover. Right? First White Rabbit. Like I said, never grab it on that side. Oh my God. I try to pull my thumb so far to the middle when I do that. Like, I don't know if you guys know much about heavy black colors, but that cover normally is in some tatters. Not this time though, yo. Not this time. And like, okay, I do speculate, and me and Anthony kind of both do this. We speculate in the instance that if it's a first appearance of someone who's been around for 15 years, 20 years, White Rabbit being a great example, and you come across something that's probably going to grade out 9.8 or 9.6 at worst, then really the conversation you're having with yourself is the $30 book that's worth a $35 slab, what are the odds that White Rabbit ever gets used in something meaningful? And the answer is the potential's not great, but would I make that bet for 30 to assume that that book might double in graded price from a 9.8 if that ever did happen and just sit on it? I mean, if I'm sending a waybill out that's a book or two short, there's a few spec books in there that are spec on my behalf. They're not market spec. They're me specking on where the market potentially could go. And that's the kind of stuff that, so somebody like White Rabbit, where first appearance is ridiculously underrated. It's an older first appearance. It's a very difficult book to get in a high grade. Why wouldn't I take my opportunity and just put the book away? Let it sit somewhere for a few years. It's not like there's a big rush to sell things. I mean, there are if you're broke, but I already begged you guys for the money, remember? That happened at the beginning of the video. So you guys are going to give me all the monies. See, because then you have books like this, and this is another reason why I'm telling you. There's a tiny spine roll. There, you can see it there for there. See it? But it hasn't made any marks on the paper. This spine is perfect. Like, there is not anything. No spine, tick, not a nothing. So what's the difference between this being a 9.8 and being a 9.4? Like, let's be honest. It's a quick cleaning to get any kind of fingerprints and stuff off of there. And as long as everything on the interior and the back page is copacetic, you press out this spine roll and you're in business for 9.8s. We already look at those two Judge Dredd #1s. Star Wars #1, and that's it. These are just a bunch of backing boards. So, like I was saying a little bit earlier, no, I'm not perfect. Nobody's bloody perfect, and this is not me gassing myself up, but I do think that I take care of things as well as I could. Like I'm definitely on top of stuff. So this just here, just to show how neurotic we are. We don't like to get rid of, like, sell modern books that don't grade as well as we'd like. So, I mean, you can just see there's a little bit of meh, and it's not right, but it's a great book and it presents perfect. New bag and board, all that. Just throw that shit in for free. You just give that to somebody, right? And like, forget this, but like, here you go. There's 4 of these. These are probably 6 easy, right? They got a little bit of spine stuff. It's not the end of the world. It's a little rubbing. It's whatever, right? This one, I think, maybe it's the next one. One has a tiny little rip. Yeah, right there. Like, it's got a rip. It's not beautiful. You don't want your book to have a rip. But if you don't want to spend $500-$600, whatever it is, for a 9/8, right? I mean, you got a press at home. You could press 80% of the stuff that's unsightly in the light from 5 feet or closer out of this. The only thing you're not going to be able to get rid of is the bit of white showing on that tear. And I'm not trying to sell you this book, because I'm just saying, we have these. They're not perfect. They're new enough that I would not consider selling them in a mid-grade. Why don't I just give them to people? And that's where they will go. Is that somebody will buy something from us. They'll spend a couple $100, even if they use their membership code and get a discount and all that. And if they buy stuff kind of in a general vicinity of certain books, we just have a big pile of... We just got books. Because it's cool to just give people stuff sometimes, right? Venom Ink. There's all sorts of stuff in our free stuff. Like, we want people to deal with us and know that, I mean, comic books are supposed to be ultimately about the reading, the experience, the fun you have, the characters and their interactions, and what you take away from it, and who you relate to, and you bond with your friends, and you bond with your children. And granted, they are fantastic for collecting. I'm not going to tell you shouldn't collect. Everything around here is full of comics. But you should collect because. Whatever the because is up to you. But you should not collect if it's about, man, in 3 years, I'd really like to buy all this stuff and then flip it for things. It's like, that's a great idea, but you're in the wrong racket. And I mean, I'm not going to tell you what racket to be in, but take it from a guy who was a financial advisor. Comic books, you're not going to get rich on comic books. You might get very, very satisfied. You might meet a lot of friends, read a lot of good stuff, collect a lot of cool shit. You might be involved in a really hip community full of really cool motherfuckers. You might be doing all of that. But as far as making a mint and retiring early, bro, you better have a better racket than flipping a couple of spec books. I mean, I'm just saying. But I'm not telling you not to do it. Everybody's got to learn somehow. And I'm sure there are guys out there that do make some dough. But consider their circumstances compared to yours. Consider, do they have some inside knowledge, some experience, some guys at comic stores that set things aside? Have they been sending stuff to CGC, even if it's only personal stuff, for years now? They might have an eye for this kind of stuff, and you might be just hoping on hope that this is easy. Well, I'm telling you what, take it from a guy who's done a lot of things. You might be better off selling drugs, because while you may do some time, you will probably make a lot more money. But if you enjoy comic books and you're not interested in trying to scrape every nickel off of every person you meet, but instead knowing that, hey, some people like this stuff over here. If it's a little beat up in my collection and I only paid like $5 for it, give it to somebody. Make somebody else happy. We sell the stuff that's in good shape. All that middle of the road stuff, that stuff's for reading, bro. Anyways, I'm Cody from Big Beaver Comics. This stuff's going off the CGC. There'll be another video when we cover that. Everybody let me know. I mean, I know I'm just moving the camera around, shooting the shit with you here on a Monday night, but it is what it is. I've got Big Beaver Comics on Instagram. That's at Big Beaver Comics. All one big word. Top 10s, top 5s, comic covers. I do, characters, themes, artists, stuff just straight out of volumes of stuff. If there's stuff you want to see, if there's covers you want to see covered, hit me up. Hit me up at Big Beaver Comics on Instagram. It was good hanging out with you guys. I've been working for in this comic room for no bullshit, 15 hours today. So I'm going to get out of here and go to bed. But it was nice hanging out with you guys. And I hope I added some type of value, even if it's just you listening to an idiot for 25 minutes. Anyways, Big Beaver Comics, we're up here in Edmonton, Alberta. I'm Cody, my homeboy Anthony, and we're out.